Your takeaway on this list was more about Stafford, not the other guys, I'm told.
Yes, I have two takeaways. Let's start with Stafford, and then I can get to my second one if we have time. Stafford was 6th on this list. He was ahead of Dak. He was ahead of Lamar. He was ahead of everyone except for the top 5 guys, which were Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, Russ, and Josh Allen. I like Matt Stafford, and I, like many people, really like the Rams this year. Colin, do you think Matt Stafford's the 6th best quarterback in football? That felt a little premature.
Yeah.
Felt like the Sean McVay glow has already started to rub off on Stafford. Hadn't played a game for him yet. Like, if you are, I'm not a huge quarterback wins guy.
Yeah.
But if you're one of the 6 best quarterbacks in football, you're not sub 500 over a 5-year stretch. You might have a down year. Don't you think that's a touch high and a little premature with Stafford, Colin?
Yeah, I think I've been told through the years, scouts love him, execs love him. I think it speaks to what the NFL executives are telling you is, good God, the Lions front office and ownership is worse than Cleveland's the last decade. That's what it's telling you, that people think the Lions are an incompetent tire fire. So there you go.
That's right. But I'm glad you mentioned Cleveland because that's my second takeaway. What's the argument that Kyler Murray, and I like Kyler, should be on this list and not Baker Mayfield? I'm just curious.
Okay.
Like, what you tell me. Tell me the argument.
Well, one is a world-class athlete, and one was a walk-on. Kyler Murray's an unbelievable. He's the only thing in the world that looks kind of like Russell Wilson. He plays a little like Russell. I don't think he's as good as Russell. So I think Kyler Murray's an unbelievable. I mean, God, the guy, be honest, he was a baseball guy, 50% baseball guy, and he still comes into the NFL. And by the way, he had better stats at Oklahoma the year he was at than Baker did, the 1 year.
Well, they both won the Heisman. They both went #1 overall in the same system at the same university. Kyler does have the benefit of DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald. Baker, of course, lost Odell. But yes, I agree. I would much rather have Kyler in the decathlon, but it's the NFL. It's playing quarterback. And so Baker's arc is, because their collegiate arcs were very, very similar because they went to the same school, same system, all that. In the NFL, Baker, as a rookie, set records, had a down year 2, coached by arguably the least equipped NFL coach ever. As soon as he got a real head coach back, they went to the playoffs, won double-digit games, won a playoff game, and were in the game in the 4th quarter at Arrowhead. And he's doing it all the while. He has America's favorite media personality on a daily basis trying to tear him down. Kyler doesn't deal with that. Kyler's got nothing but love from people. Baker's got to deal with a lot of stuff. Again, it's nothing against Kyler particularly. Kyler just came in 10th, and I'm like, we can't get my guy Baker in the top 10.
Okay.
He's not one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football. Seems harsh.
No. Deshaun Watson, by the way, is not on that list, so he could be the argument. But I would say this, and I don't want to be critical of Baker because I do think I have Cleveland being a very good team this year. I think a lot of that's the offensive line and the coach. These are really good. But I'd say this. Cleveland was better last year the fewer times Baker threw. Okay, that's an important stat. When he threw less, they were better. Secondly, the Kansas City game. Yeah, the Chiefs were missing a guy in most of the second half. A random player, maybe you've heard of him.
I know.
Patrick Mahomes.
It's a little misleading. I know. I agree with that. I know. I was thinking it was the end of the segment. You might not get there. Yes, it is true that the Chiefs did seem to be in firm control until Mahomes went down.
Yeah.
But if you're going to hit me with that, then I'm going to hit you with this. That whole they were better when they threw the ball less is a first cousin of the stat of, if you get to 40 rushes, you win the game, which is a second cousin of the stat. Teams that take knees in the 4th quarter are undefeated. Well, why doesn't everyone do it? Well, it's actually you're taking a knee because you've already won. They are throwing the ball less because they've already gotten a lead, typically by throwing the football. So I don't buy that first part. But the second part is fair, that Mahomes did get hurt, which did affect things.
Kind of.
Yeah, that is true.
It just marginally affect the
there.
outcome of the game, yes. Good seeing you, buddy. Nick Wright.
See you, man.
All right, top of the hour, I'll talk Browns in the entire AFC. Last year I was lucky enough, well, a little luck, a little skill, to go 7 for 7 on my playoff picks. We now have 7 teams. That was adopted 2 years ago. We now have 17 games, which, by the way, is a reason. I had this discussion in the airport the other day because somebody came up and asked me about, it could have been the Browns or the Ravens. I think it was a Browns fan. Anytime there's anybody from Ohio that spots me anywhere publicly, they got to come up and ask me questions. And I said, I may like you and think you're an 11-6 team, but I'm going to make you a 10-7 team because I think players are going to rest more. I think GMs are going to. So, Nick Wright is my buddy. First things first, he's the big star on that show. He is now joining me live, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. So, game 4 of the finals tonight. Now, it's interesting. Because I am old, I do like old NBA stories. I tend to like Chris Paul, a couple of veterans in our respective industry. You are flashy and young and going places, and your future's in front of you. And you have put your arms around Giannis in his hideous free throw shooting.
Yeah.
I think this series is going to come down to this. Last 2.5 minutes, last 2 games, game 6 and 7, and I got Chris Paul shooting free throws, and you have Giannis. Yet you have been almost bizarrely confident with Giannis going forward. Explain yourself, young, progressive, smart guy with a great future.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that. And I also adore Chris Paul, and I'm very happy he's gotten to this moment. But this moment is Giannis's moment. So you mentioned NBA history. We don't have to go that far back in the annals of NBA history to see a very similar arc. So if I were to tell you there was a 2-time MVP who hadn't won a championship, who was coming off his lowest playoff moment, who faced multiple elimination games before he even got to the finals, and then left those finals and everyone said, oh, he's clearly and unquestionably the best player in the world. He has solved his demons. You'd say, who am I talking about? That was LeBron in 2012. 2011, they lose to Dallas. He'd already had the couple of MVPs. In 2012, they face elimination, down 3-2 to Boston. He has the 45-15-5, and the rest is history. They beat KD, Harden, and Russ in the finals. Well, Giannis, couple MVPs, down 3-2 to KD in Brooklyn, has the 40-10 in Game 7, including the game-tying shot on KD in overtime, and now I believe has taken full control of these finals and is going to leave this season as the best player in the world. Phoenix has no answer for him. And the only game that they've played 5 times this year, they've somewhat slowed him down, was the game where he was 7 days removed from his knee bending the wrong way. So I don't think Milwaukee needs Drew and Middleton to play well. I think they just need one of them to play well, because Giannis is going to do everything he wants. And he's going to average 35 and 15 in this series. And I believe he's going to leave this series a champion. And at 26 years old, he's going to have a couple MVPs. And he's going to have a title. And I think he's going to go into next season until LeBron could potentially take it back from him as the best player in basketball. So
you and I think, agree that Daryl Morey takes big swings. Simmons and Embiid don't work. A lot of people are talking about Portland. They need to take a big swing. They're stuck in NBA quicksand. Good, not great. Good, not terrible. But I do think Golden State's fascinating here for a couple reasons, and I'll throw it at you. It's a very good draft. You can go to about the 22nd player, Chris Duarte of Oregon. A lot of people say he's 21, 22. He will play in the NBA. He can shoot. He can make his own shot. Like, he's a real NBA player. So last year, we got to about the 6th player, and we were like, we didn't know if he was an NBA guy. And they were better than we thought. So it's a good draft. And the Warriors have 2 lottery picks. And they have Andrew Wiggins, who's good, not special. I'm Golden State, you're Philadelphia. Would you take the number 1 lottery pick, Andrew Wiggins,